Problem number 17. When you raise a power to a power, in other words, and I'm going to give you an example. If I have x squared, and then I raise that to the third power, what I'm really saying is I have x squared times x squared times x squared, right? So if I take all those x squareds and put them together, I would end up with x to the sixth power, right? Yep. Because it would be x times x times x times x times x times x. Now the shortcut when you raise a power to a power is to multiply the two numbers. In other words, you would say x squared to the third power is the same as x to the 2 times 3. And that would give you x to the 6th. Okay? So now let's apply that same logic to this. However, because it's 8 times x to the 6th power times 2/3, we can, just like we did with the radicals, we could say 8 raised to the 2/3 times x to the 6th power raised to the 2/3. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. If I multiply the 6 times 2/3, in other words, if I say x to the 6 over 1, because 6 over 1 is the same as 6, right? And I multiply that by 2/3, I get 6 times 2, which is 12. 12 divided by 3 is what? 4. So this whole thing becomes x to the 4th power. Well, the only weird thing is that when I multiply 8, or raise 8 to the 2/3 power, it's a little weird, because remember now, this is the same as saying 8 squared raised, or I mean the third root of 8 squared. In other words, the third root of, what's 8 squared?
It's 64.
It's 64. Now, I've got the square root, or I'm sorry, not the square root, the cube root of 64 times x to the 4th power. So now here's what I want us to do. To take the cube root of something, I have to think in terms of cubes. In other words, 2 to the 3rd power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So then the cube root of 8 is the base, which is 2. Now here's another thing I want to show you guys. If I say 4 to the 3rd power, that would be 4 times 4 times 4. And you may not have memorized that yet, but trust me, it is 64. So the cube root of 64 is the cube root of 4 cubed, right? Because 4 to the 3rd power is 64. And remember, I said that the root and the power they undo each other, right? So since 4 is raised to the 3rd power, and we're taking the 3rd root of it, or cube root, then they kind of undo each other, and I'm just left with the base, which is 4. So this whole term right here reduces down to 4 times x to the 4th power. And that is the simplified answer.